I'd like to show you what I recently found at a Barnes & Noble. This is a New Revised Standard Version Catholic edition. It was published, I think, in 2008. It's the anglicized version of the Catholic edition of the New Revised, it's the anglicized version of the New Revised Standard Version. And it was redone for Catholic readers. It takes the New Revised Standard Version Deuterocanonicals and puts them in the Catholic order in the Bible, and I'll show you a little bit about that when I can. My video setup here does not permit me to really be able to see what I'm looking at, so I thought I would point this out right away. This is Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14, and I looked at this in the Barnes & Noble and I was fascinated by it because it reads exactly like the New Revised Standard Version. The young woman shall be with child. It does not say virgin there, so the wording is precisely like the New Revised Standard Version. So far, all the verses that are typically changed when the Protestant version of a Bible is converted to a Catholic version, that there's some verbiage that is changed, and that's the key one right there, that the young woman is changed to a virgin so that it matches Luke's presentation, Luke's quote of it, that the virgin shall be with child. Well, it didn't do that here. It kept all the verbiage of the New Revised Standard Version anglicized edition. I found that interesting enough for me to go ahead and buy it. So I'll just go ahead and describe for you kind of what we have. In a Catholic edition, like I mentioned, the Catholic order of the canon is followed here in this particular edition. If I can find the right page here. Here it is. So there we have the Catholic edition, the Catholic order. So down here we have Esther, and then the two Maccabees letters, for example. Judith is right over here. So the Catholic order is followed, but the translation doesn't seem to have been changed at all, which is rather refreshing. The other thing that you would see in any Catholic edition is that in some places the Catholic, well, it's actually just the Septuagint Apocrypha, which the Catholic canon accepts some of those books, is integrated where they would normally appear plot-wise in these books. So in the book of Daniel, for example, the prayer of Azariah appears. Right there, Azariah was one of the three friends that were thrown into the fiery furnace because they would not bow down to Nebuchadnezzar's image when music played, and so they were thrown into the furnace. And we all know the story that God rescued them, and they were able to survive being thrown into the fiery furnace. Well, right there when they're thrown in, the prayer of Azariah is inserted. Azariah prayed a prayer, and his two friends joined in the prayer there, and that's inserted at the right place there in the book of Daniel. I find that of high academic interest in the study of the book of Daniel. Also, the book of Esther has key points of the Greek version of Esther inserted where they belong. So in this case, you can see that there's an insert there, an addition of some information that's from the book of Esther. The Greek version is inserted right there into the Hebrew edition of the book of Esther. Again, and it's clearly marked. There's no surprises here. Some in standard Catholic editions, like the New American Bible They're not really clearly marked, but this one's clearly marked as an addition, and that happens in several places through the book of Esther, where there's additions to the book of Esther that come from the apocryphal version of the book of Esther, and it's of academic interest to me as well. The book of Susanna, it's a small apocryphal work. It appears in Daniel 13. Bel and the Dragon is in Daniel 14. And then, of course, Esther has clearly marked places where the insertions appear in the book of Esther for your own study. So you could read those and find out, why they're inserted there and what you think about them. The cover it feels kind of rubbery. It's a synthetic cover. If you were to decide to use this and carry it around a lot, it would last you quite a long time. It's sturdy, but it's not bonded leather, and it's not actual leather. It's some sort of a synthetic material that seems to be quite strong. So it's a nice addition. If you don't mind having an anglicized version, I've compared the anglicized version and the American version of the New Revised Standard Version, and it seemed I remember liking the American version better than the anglicized version, but I don't remember why. I didn't take any notes on my findings, so I don't remember why. But there it is. It came in a nice clamshell style box, which I will return it to there. I like to when I'm keeping Bibles as a reference, I go ahead and keep them in their original box or something similar, so it kind of keep them in good shape. And I won't stick them on the shelf this way because it causes the paper to pull away, the book block to pull away from the spine. So if I just set them horizontally and stack them on top of each other, they last longer. And of course, keep them in a box. So I'm kind of happy to get this. I found it at Barnes & Noble, paid full cover price for it instead of any discount price that I would have gotten, say, at Amazon or Christian book distributors. But I was able to look at it before I bought it, and the other sources I could not look at it first. So Barnes & Noble shouldn't be punished for having to have a nice store that cleans up after customers. So why not every once in a while give some business to an actual bookstore, a brick and mortar bookstore, instead of an online presence. So that's the Catholic edition of the New Revised Standard Version. I find it to be of academic interest, and you might too, even if you're a Protestant like me.